Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Simply Together show. I'm here hosting today with the lovely Nike. How you doing?
I love how you always say I'm lovely.
Because you are.
I get a weekly dose of lovely.
Are you good today?
It's all good, thank you. It's all very good. I'm very excited. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. So we've got two fabulous guests. We have got Sarah Dixon, who I'm going to be talking to in just a minute. And we've also got the Reverend Dr. Trevor Adams, who Nike is going to have a little chat with as well. So without further ado, because time is always of an essence, I am going to chat with yourself, Sarah, whilst the other two lovely people are leaving us to it.
Okay.
So, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, really good, Cecile. Thank you. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It's very relaxed. Okay, as we've said, so I won't be grilling you. However, the topic is so interesting that you might find that I actually am grilling you.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and the Black Maternity Still Matters and what it is that you're doing and looking for.
Yeah, well, I'm Sarah and I'm an artist and I live in rural Gloucestershire in Stroud. And part of my art practice is related to maternity, mothering, and the reproductive experience. I work in a partnership as well called the Women's Art Activation System with Sharon Bennett. And some of our pieces are about looking through that maternal lens. And Stroud Against Racism was a group that started in 2020 with the murder of George Floyd. It sort of prompted locals to form a group. And then not long after that, there was 5X More started a Black maternal health campaign raising the issue that maternity care is not equitable and that those with more melanated skin are going to be treated differently and have different outcomes, including higher death rates, both for mothers and for the infants and the babies. So I wanted to support that campaign and I kind of took that on a little bit. And then we had a petition, we got several hundred signatures. I've got a meeting with our MP in a few weeks' time to talk about it. And it's just something I wanted to see through, really, because, as the pandemic has receded a little bit, life has changed again and there's less focus. And so, we're all kind of going through this ongoing evolution of like, how do we integrate anti-racism into our lives? How do we take these issues and stick with them? And I really was passionate, particularly about the maternal health issue. And I feel really passionate about inclusion. I'm neurodiverse, which again is a kind of recent discovery. And I think that's partly why I've experienced the world in a way which means it's really important to me that if everyone's safe, then I feel safe. And if they're not, then I think, well, that's not good. We need to make sure that everyone is being treated and included and part of each other's world and culture in a really wholesome, good way. So I took it on, and we've just got out now a report from Birthrights, which have got a report highlighting basically there's a bit of a misconception, right? So sometimes when this is talked about, it's said, well, it's because, there's some kind of genetic difference in those women that means that, they're going to have different outcomes, or it's something to do with poverty or where they live. And this report is really highlighting this is about systemic racism as the driver for the inequity, as opposed to a biological basis or some other kind of social basis. It's really focusing on that as a serious driver. And to me, that's really horrible, but it's also good in the sense that that means we can change it, right? So I'm here to say, let's keep pushing for that change. Let's work on it. Let's all do our little bit towards it that we can do.
So you just said about the fact that they were looking at poverty and genetics and things like this. Now, were they going down that road because they didn't want to acknowledge racism, or were they going down that road because they actually believed that? What do you think?
That's a great question. So I think partly there is an amount of denial that, we had that report from the government that said there's no such thing as institutional racism. So that's part of racism, because it's like denying what's actually happening. And But it gets tricky because it's about framing. So you can frame, and as an artist, a lot of what I do is about how we look at things, and the frame we use is what changes what we see. So you can convince yourself or look at data and interpret it in that way. And that's why the birthrights report is so useful, because it's creating this lens which really strongly, it's really hard to argue when you look through their lens. You say, wow, those stories are really powerful and impactful. So this is a good lens. Like, we need to decide which lens is more accurate to reality, and also inclusive in itself. Like, part of the point of this report is saying, and something 5X More have highlighted, is that actually the Black women's voices and the birthing people's voices is not part of the picture. There's lots of academics, medics, lawyers, politicians talking about it, but where is the actual lived experience? And that's another thing that birthrights have really brought into focus.
Which I suppose is pretty much what somebody who's watching, Sharon Hill, she said that when you understand the driving force is social construction for race, so it's about what is driving this and what the outcomes then are. So can you tell us a little bit about what is happening then for Black women when they're giving birth?
So the patterns that we're seeing are things like not being believed around pain. This is a really big one, and it's linked to the practice of enslavement, really historically, and over the centuries, the decades. This idea that somehow, if you've got Black skin, you feel pain in a different way, and that was part of really awful practices in medicine, which itself is inherently built around all kinds of oppressive structures. Western medicine, I mean.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to do, to unpack and dismantle this. It's a long way to go, but it's because it's really baked into the very foundations of some of the thinking. So there's the idea that so if a woman is showing up at hospital, there's several stories in the report. Excuse me, just saying, I went to the hospital. I felt like I really needed to be there to give birth. They said I couldn't be in that much pain yet, and their stories are dismissed. Just not believed. So that's one. And there's another very practical one, which is that simply the training doesn't cover how to detect things like jaundice in infant or sepsis. There was a case of sepsis where a woman was very pale, but because the skin is dark and the training isn't right, they're saying, oh no, you don't look ill. It's like, well, you haven't had the training. So there's part of the campaign is about training midwives and healthcare professionals, maternal health care professionals in a better way to be more inclusive of all the different medical symptoms. So there's a little bit of a mix there. And there's also workplace racism. So actually people of color in the workplace in those places maybe have other problems going on that make it harder for them to do their job, or, that they're not able to deliver the care in the way that would be best for the service users.
Do you know, I've never thought, actually, to be fair, I don't think I've really thought about this very much anyway. So I'll just put that out there anyway. But I've never thought how, with jaundice, if you've got a child or anybody who has got white skin, you're going to be able to see that, because that's all that yellowing, isn't it? And you're going to be able to pick that up. So with people of color, how do they detect that?
Well, actually, in that particular story in the report, the family knew it. The family could see it and could tell that the baby had changed and that wasn't well. And the I think it was a health worker or midwife was saying, no, that looks fine. So it's partly training and just that sensitivity. If you're much more familiar, so you will see it. Whereas white folks who are trained in a white-oriented system, they're just not going to up so easily. But it is detectable, and there are other medical things where the training just needs to be improved, really, to include all those different amazing, beautiful, different shades of brown and dark skin. So
is with the work that yourselves and the group are trying to do you feel that this is being taken on board?
I think in some ways, like, the government had responded and they've had debates about it and discussed it. And our MP has raised some issues about, she's a Conservative MP, and she's actually given birth at our local maternity unit as well. So I feel she's got a real connection with maternal health and a care for it. But she also doesn't seem, so far as I understand, to really recognise systemic racism. So there's a bit of a bridge gap here going on. Yeah, so
it needs to become a little bit like this. It needs to. You've got to remove
we need
that
to
gap, haven't you?
in place and move that. So partly, how much can you change one person's mind through a couple of meetings? I don't know. But also it's just being an irritant, like keep talking about it, keep mentioning it, bringing it onto shows, raising the awareness, allow the conversation to keep shifting in the right direction. So it's partly that, we've got a petition, we've got evidence that lots of people locally support that the government should be doing more to implement change through the NHS. And obviously we need to go directly to NHS and implement more changes within there as well. Yeah,
I like that word, being an irritant. That's a very nice way of putting it, isn't it? You need to be getting on their nerves, don't you?
Yeah, just keep niggling away and going, no.
So what do you need as an organisation?
Well,
we're
firstly,
beaming to the masses out there, we're beaming to the masses. So what do you need?
I just want to point people to support 5x More and the Birth Rights Campaign. Download, read, learn about it. Consider it as your issue, even if you're not female, if you're not giving birth, if you're not having children, if you're not dark skinned, white people too, men too, like everybody can. And Gary was talking about it. Gary from director of Stroud Against Racism, he's sort of saying like, we had a webinar actually with Gary Red Medusa and a friend of mine, which is also a paediatrician in London, and we had a chat. So that's going to be available soon. But he was sort of talking about, well, how do we all see this as our issue? Because if we can create this change within maternal health, that's also through the NHS, like the systemic problem of the health system as a whole. Like it's that irritant thing. It's like if we change something there small, it helps to trigger the possibilities everywhere. So I think we just rather than coming to us, although I mean people locally in Stroud, great, come and connect and let's carry on chatting and raising the awareness. But if you know people in the NHS, just have a chat, get informed, raise it. What do you think about systemic racism in the workplace? Have you seen anything? Is there anything you've experienced that you want support with? There are organizations and people out there, I mean, I'm happy to point to some resources. We can share a bunch of links, later, like to report and stuff like that. Just learning about it, being aware, following it on the news. Telling me if you've got the capacity, just that. Ongoing.
Right, so we've got a couple of statements, and then I've got something to say as well. So Sharon Hill, Flying Start. Have you heard of Flying Start?
Flying Start, yes.
Yeah, so they're funded to support around the inequalities identified for women of colour, support with the changes needed.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a connection.
Yes. So women of colour, you can learn up your rights and assert them. That's another aspect to sort of increase that vocality and know what your rights are. Like we all have a right to have the treatment we want with our consent and so on. So that can also help getting support from Flying Start is really good. So
Sharon's also put would love to connect with you and talk to their team. So that's a connection we can make. We can give you email addresses, etc.
Thank you. Happy to chat directly with people.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have a small private group where we're sort of working like to put on that webinar and have those conversations with the different people from different perspectives.
Great. Shelley's also put on here. So, wow, this is something we discussed when I was in college for nursery nursing in the early 1990s regarding jaundice and the signs and the different skin tones. And she's put, but I suppose it was because we were in a multicultural town, which obviously, I'm presuming, Shelley, you mean Luton, because it is multicultural. And and I know over the years, there's been little things that have been done within NHS and stuff like that locally because it's multicultural.
Yeah.
But when you were saying, I've written it down, when you were saying about talking to people who work in the NHS, both of my children work in the NHS. in our local hospital. I am going to have a conversation with them about their views around systemic racism in the workplace. I don't know. My mind's going like this because I don't know whether we've even had those conversations or whether anything like that has even been brought up. So I will have that conversation with them.
Yeah, well, and I'm sensitive to the idea that actually it can be really hard in the workplace to challenge things. And that's, again, in the birth rights report and elsewhere is talked about. So, yeah, definitely having those conversations is a great place to start thinking about it and see if we can make those small, irritating changes.
Yeah. Last one before we hand over to, or maybe last two. So Dee's said that people still have the mindset that if it doesn't affect me, then I don't need to be interested. Why do I need support?
Yeah.
And that's what we come across with a lot of things, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, well, it's not me, it doesn't affect me, so I don't need to be involved.
Yeah. So, as a human being, I care about human beings. For me, it's like the idea of it relates to, the idea of Britishness sometimes. It's like, well, that's got this very white kind of concept. But to me, I want to say, no, that's not right, because we've got to, when you expand your idea of who we are, you expand your sense of yourself. So it's like it's a mutual benefit. It's not something where there's just those other people that are in a different planet and have nothing to do with me. That's a kind of, for me, maybe that comes from a kind of feeling of like, I can't cope with it. I can't deal with it. I'm too overloaded already. So I'm putting up barriers to shut myself off. But what I find is if you actually are able to connect, you actually find you have something in common. You want to work together and we can make it better for everyone and relieve those burdens off everyone's shoulders. So it's really about like supporting each other has huge benefits. If you think like baby needs a grandparent, as well as a mother and a father or whatever, and it needs older children. Like we need each other in really different roles. We're not just all monocultures. We're not a bunch of corn that's going to be like sprayed with pesticides. That's not a good way to be living our lives. And it's much healthier if we can really connect across those differences. That actually improves our own lives as well. That's my anyway.
Yeah, and that's what Dee has said, Veronica, is an environment that encourages and supports Black women to share their experiences in healthcare and outcomes is key. It's key.
It really is. And we're going to learn, we're going to grow, we're going to improve maternal healthcare as a whole. We've got to share all those experiences together.
And I think I'm going to say it again, last thing, because we could stay all day, I think, on this whole topic, because it just umbrellas, doesn't it? But last thing, so as you said, when you talk about British, and it does give that connotation as you're talking about white.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, I say I am British. I am British. I'm not just saying it. I am British, but I'm not white. I am Black. So we need to kind of change that so that British actually means multicultural. There you go.
Black and British,
There you go. So thank you so much, Sarah. Hang around, because if we get chance, we'll bring you back on.
Lovely.
But we'll bring you back on another show. There's another time, because we've only just touched the surface, haven't we? We've literally just touched it. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Just stay there in the background.
Will do.
Handing over to you, Nikkei.
Wow, I'm so gobsmacked. One thing I want to say quickly is something touching on what they said about, if it doesn't affect you, it doesn't matter, and stuff like that. Is that sometimes people don't really think of it. In terms of it being a racist thing. I still remember my sister-in-law when she had her child. This was in London, in the sticks somewhere where you probably didn't have people of colour. They were quite surprised. They would just say, "Oh, it's really strong." I mean, to be fair, my sister-in-law is a really strong woman. But then I think when people have that type of experience with people who are strong, who don't need a lot of painkillers, they think it applies to every person of colour. Because and of course it doesn't, because it can apply to people, to white women as well. It can apply to anybody. But I would never have thought of it as something that's been institutionalized. And to me, that was just part of. So listening to you, I was just like, oh wow, interesting stuff.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Okay,
Hello.
your
Thank
guest
you.
now.
We're here. Hello, Doctor. Hello, Dr. Adams. So hi.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So yes, it's Nikki here, and I feel really privileged because I'm getting the honor of meeting you for the first time, just like everybody else that is listening.
The privilege is mine.
So with that being said, could you please kindly introduce yourself to the people who are listening who don't know who you are?
Yeah, can I just say that I was listening to the interview before, and it was really encouraging, and I think you know the voices of Black fathers need to be engaged in that conversation as
Yes,
well.
please.
And because we are also impacted by the situations where we see our partners go through lots of pain and lots of challenges.
Yeah.
So there was a very useful interview and useful insight. But I am Trev Adams. I live in Luton and been involved in the community for many years, especially working with families, working with young people, working in the areas of mental health, employment, empowerment, etc. And I'm also involved in planning this event that we are about to have next week, Tuesday. So just 1 week away, our Luton Employability Day.
Right. So how did you get involved with that? Is that through the workplace or is it through volunteering? Where's it? How's it come about?
Well, it's come about. It's part of the vision of Reach Society. Reach Society is an organization based in London that many years ago saw the need for professional Black role models to be involved in shaping and helping our young people in terms of their development. And Reach Society used to have, as well, they still do, they have a careers event every year in London. And I used to take a group of young people onto the train every year down to this event, and where you had employers, but more importantly, you had Black professional role models. Black professional role models. You walk into this room, a room full of Black professional role models from all walks of life. And I used to take my young people there and leave them there to mingle and speak to the role models and employers. At that time, they were the young people were probably around age 13, 14. Now they're big people. But the impact of that event really sort of led me to think, would it be great to have something in Luton? So rather than taking young people to London, wouldn't it be great to have such an event in Luton? And so that's the thinking behind this amazing event that's coming up.
Okay, so just to double check and make sure, where you said professional Black role models, I'm presuming you're talking about people outside of the stereotypical music and sports industry, like accountants, doctors, engineers.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Reach Society's philosophy really is that we try to avoid the stereotypical role models that society thinks that our children can only aspire to be. So our role models are from all walks of life, but we don't have musicians, we don't have footballers, but even so, we cannot knock our footballers. To become a professional footballer, it is a journey. It really is a tough journey that they go through. It's just that within what we're looking at the moment is role models from other areas of profession.
That's really important. So as you've been bringing this event into Luton per se.
Mhm.
Is it going to be ongoing? Is it going to be, or is it a one-off?
Well, this is the first time we actually rolling out this event. There have been similar events rolled out by Reach Society in places like Manchester, Birmingham, Leicester. But this is the first time we are going to have such events in Luton. We planned
Right.
it for 2020,
Yeah,
and as a result of the pandemic, we had to postpone it.
indeed.
And these events are normally put on once a year. So depending on the response for this one, it will tell us whether or not the community feels that we care enough about our young people to support the event.
All right. So how do people get to join in the event? What criteria? I mean, apart from the criteria that you've mentioned,
Mhm.
how do they join?
Well, they can. It's a free event, and
Okay.
it's targeting young people from age 10 upwards.
Oh wow.
Parents, carers come along. If you're under 16, you have to be accompanied by a responsible adult. If you are 16 above, you can just go on to Eventbrite and register. I can see that the link is
Yeah.
actually there on screen. But yeah, but we're really trying to encourage parents to sign up.
Yeah.
This is a half-term event, so
There's no
it's not. Sorry.
I said there's no excuses then.
Yeah, there's absolutely no excuses. I remember growing up, and you had half term, you had the holidays. There wasn't a lot to do that was
No.
constructive, but this is a constructive event. Can you imagine walking into a room and see a sea of Black professionals?
That would be amazing, really and
Yeah,
truly.
yeah.
What at the event? What can people expect to see there?
Good question. Well, as I said, it's an exciting. Dee wants to answer on my behalf.
No, you said what you're going to expect to see. I said I'm going to be there. Simply
Brilliant.
D's are going to be there supporting.
wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What do you expect to see? We have over 30 exhibitors.
Wow.
Okay, businesses, companies. We've got London Luton Airport. We've got TUI. We've got the police. And by the way, police isn't just simply officers on the beat.
Yeah.
We have one of our role models is a specialist fingerprint expert.
Ooh.
A specialist fingerprint expert. She's going to be there. We have the police. We have a number of health services who will be there. But the idea is to provide young people with information.
Yeah.
And the opportunities to interact with role models, so that our young people are able to make informed choices, to choose pathways to success. We're going to have Brunel University, their science, technology, engineering department. They're going to be coming with their robots and their drones. In fact, they're going to be doing a special workshop for us. Fantastic. And Brunel are absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So they're going to be talking to young people about the opportunities that are there in the science, technology, the STEM subjects, because that is an amazing field that is blossoming.
Wow.
And of course, we are going to have about over 30 black professional role models. There'll be many of us there who are doctors, not medical doctors, so please don't come faint, but academic doctors.
Yeah.
Again, that's one of the things that our young people don't see. They think we are a rarity.
Yeah.
But no, we are there. So there would be medical doctors there as well. So please, and there could be entrepreneurs.
Wow.
That is there.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Black entrepreneurs are going to
Wow.
be there as well. Okay, so that young people can see that isn't just simply go to school, get a qualification, and go and work. We live in a time where there's so much opportunity, and we want our young people to see entrepreneurs.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I think one of our entrepreneurs is a young lady who runs. I'm good enough. I think it is.
Oh, is that Jasmine?
Is it Jasmine? I'm not too sure. I can't. Her name slips me at the moment. But yeah, so she's going to be there. So young people are going to see that there are entrepreneurs within our community. The other day, I was on a radio station, and they asked me, "Well, isn't this the same as any other employability days?" And I said to them that that's my wife, by the way. That's my wife. Yeah.
Hi.
That's my wife.
Hello.
Dee says hi. You can tell it's live. Dee said hi, right? Dee said
Well,
hi.
this is what we want. We want people need to see the realness, Trevor.
Yes,
They need to see the realness, right? And that is why it is so important. Thanks, Nico. I'm not taking over now. I'm just kind of. I said I'd just come in at the end and just kind of.
Oh yeah, no. I was going to ask you a question actually about the. I know you mentioned it was from 10 years old. There would any of those youngsters, especially those that are between the ages of 10 to 16, would they be able to secure? You know how the youngsters, they go and do this 2-day or this half-day work experience that they do as part of the curriculum. I say that word, but you know what I mean. Would they be able to secure that opportunity there for themselves if they?
Of course, it's up to the young person. And also, you know, it goes upwards. We also expect people from universities who may have just come out of university, etc. But there are no cheers at the event apart from cheers for the exhibitors. So there's no cheers. So it's not that we're gonna sit around in the corner. No, from the moment the young person come into it, there are exhibitors that they can go and talk to. There are the Black professional role models that they can go and talk to, and they're encouraged to go and talk to the professional role models. And it's not about us, as professional role models, it's about the young people.
Yes.
Yeah. We are there to really inspire our young people in that environment. So we're creating the environment so that our young people can come along and say, wow, I can aspire to be that. I can aspire to be that. I don't know if you remember your careers, if you had any careers advice when you were at school. Remember what it was like?
Admin, and that's what I've done. Admin.
Yeah.
Right.
Admin.
Right. And yet some of us we had some hopes and dreams and what we can and what we can be. But then the careers advice that we had, well, okay, you know, you can work in a local factory, and that's good. That's a good career.
Steered you down a certain path.
Absolutely.
It steered you down a certain path, and you know, there's quite a few messages that have been coming through. Trevor, this needs positive coverage for Luton, especially for our Black communities, and that's from Sharon. And fantastic event for the youth in Luton, but for me also as well. So as a parent, as a grandparent, and as in, say, like, we all are part of the village, whether you are a parent or not, because for a village it takes everybody. It takes everybody. So I also feel that, like, say for instance, if you're not exposed to certain things as like a parent, you would not know the advice and certain things like that you'll be able to give to your young person. So I would even encourage, say for instance, you know, parents, carers, anybody within that to potentially go there. And if you haven't got the young person with you as well, to still come along. To still make those connections, get that information rather than not come along at all. You know, so that way then, you know, we've got somebody posting, we need this in Huddersfield. I don't know where you sort of like this is being brought, Trevor, you know, across the UK.
It's Reach Society just works with local people. So if somebody in Huddersfield feels that they want to do it, then all they need to do is to get in touch with Reach Society. But Reach Society puts the responsibility on the local community to take responsibility for the event. Can I say that we worked in conjunction with the Chiltern Academy? They've been absolutely brilliant to provide us with the space. Luton Borough Council have also been brilliant. They have been, in fact, there is a press release that's gone out for the event. So it's out there. It's out there. But
can you share that with us, Trevor, and we can share it on our pages?
Yes, certainly. I can certainly do that.
Afterwards, that'd be fine.
Yeah. But we're saying to our community, come on, this is the first. It has never happened in Luton where we brought together Black professional role models under one roof. We brought together employers and businesses where we can show our young people that this is possible. Yeah. And so we want a critical mass of people from our community. And I totally agree with what Dee said. I used to pick up leaflets, information, and I used to pass it on to parents, even though they may not be there. I used to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I am super. And by the way, we are going to have the Ben Salmi family. The Ben Salmi family. They are amazing.
I've been trying to meet them.
They are amazing family. They are from the age of 8 upwards. They are authors. They are going to be there. They are going to be one of our exhibitors. So you know what? If you've got little children, bring them along, because I always believe that we need to plant the seed as early as possible.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the Ben Salmi family are going to be there, and I'll tell them, Dee, that you are excited to want to meet them. Yeah, they're amazing family.
Who?
They're amazing family. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I know
they're
about
amazing
them.
family. Yeah.
We are kind of, in terms of time-wise.
I just clocked the time.
Just like we can talk. So we've got you on. We need you as you are here. What do you want to kind of like leave the guys with? What messages? And we'll be sharing up until next week. And as I said, I'm going to be there. And guess what? This show will still be live as we are every Tuesday. And guess what? I might be able to sneak a little live from the venue, from the actual employability fair, and see if we can somehow feed that into the program.
Right. Can I just make a point? You can only do that. You can only do that if you say to me you are going to be there as an exhibitor.
I have.
Oh, you have?
Yes. See, okay, this is what I like about being live. I've told Trevor I'm going to be there.
As an exhibitor.
Make it clear that you were going to be there.
No, this has made my day. This has made my day. Right.
Oh, Trevor, I'm taking a day off work.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, I will send you. I will send you all the need, all the joining pack. No, absolutely. I am so super excited about that day. Fantastic, because all the people who I know should be there, all the entrepreneurs, all the community input, you need to be there, because I've seen your work over the years. So definitely, you've made my day.
I am going to be. Sorry.
But in terms of message that I actually want to get out there, parents, please, take the time off, come along, bring your young people there.
Because you are investing in them, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stuff. So instead of taking them to the trampoline park, which you can do anytime, instead of taking them wherever, which you can do anytime, take them somewhere where they're going to benefit.
And they will never forget. They will never forget the day that I went and I saw businesses. They will never forget it. So when they go back to school after the half term, they walk with their heads held up high, I can do this.
Yeah. It's important what you're saying, because obviously as children, our first role models are our parents, aren't they?
Mhm.
And I remember listening to Oprah Winfrey one day, and she was with her grandmother, and she said that her grandmother said to her that she hopes that she will get a nice family. And Oprah Winfrey said that in her mind. She's hearing her grandmother say that, but that's not what was in her mind. She had no intention of going down there. So obviously that was, I suppose, a little bit, well, truth is not the correct word. But if it had been somebody who was just malleable, who was just going to do what they're told, because also when you get in that mainstream is constructed to keep you there. So yeah, I like what you said about the with the parents. It's really important.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm just really excited. Roving reporters next Tuesday. Roving reporters. That's what's going to be happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But also,
I'm lost on that one.
What, as in the roving reporters?
Oh, roving reporters. Sorry,
we're going out on the street.
Yeah,
we're not doing it from our women caves. You know. It's just one thing though. One of the things that you said quite early on, Trevor, was that you're putting this on and you're going to see whether it's received by everybody, and hopefully it will be. Knowing Luton as I do, you might need to put 2 on. You might need to do a second one, because it's hard. It is hard to get people involved, but if you can get some involved the first time, the second one might work even better, and then people will then see that actually this is really worthwhile. So not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but
no, absolutely not.
All my life, and I know you've got to really prize people and get them out of the houses.
This is where which I totally get what Trevor's saying, is there's nothing happens in Luton. Nothing happens. Things do happen.
It does.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's for us. And when I say us, that's the royal us, not just us here on the show, those that are watching, those who aren't watching. It's a case of, instead of sort of like we do all of that, we do all the chat and we moan and we groan, and to make a difference, you have to be a part of that change. Okay, absolutely. So we've got something we do not normally have, that people in Huddersfield are asking for, that they need. We have got it. So do you want to tell me what your excuse and your reason is why you are not attending next week?
Right.
Definitely.
You are. That's why there can only be. That's why there can only be one D.
Oh, do you know what? I'm just praying he means that in a nice way. I'm just praying.
Of course.
I'm only kidding. Oh my gosh. You know, all those that are watching and thinking like, they said this show's half an hour. This show is as long as we want it to be. But we do need to wrap up. Oh my God. I've actually posted what an absolutely incredible show we have had today. We always say it, but it's true, isn't it, Cecile? We always have, it doesn't matter who it is or what the topic is, we have awesome guests. And all we ask, because when we say share, you might not get to watch this now, but later on it's like, oh my gosh, if I'd have known, I'd have attended the event with my kids' friends, my whatever. So that's why we say share, guys. All the information that Sarah's given. Well, I'm not pregnant. Well, do you know what? I'm sure you know somebody in your contact list that the information that Sarah has shared earlier on would be of benefit. So that's why we say all of that, guys. Is there anybody online now who's watching that plans on coming along next week? You don't have to be there for the whole entire time. What time is it again, Trevor?
10:30. 10:30 until 3:30.
10:30 till 3:30. You telling me you can't pass by? You telling me, whoever you are locally, you can't pass? Find time in your lunch break. Find the time. If it's important to you, you will make the time.
And
I ain't got no holiday, and I'm booking a day off.
Can I say that people need to register beforehand?
Yes,
on Eventbrite,
right, so that they know beforehand. We've posted those details. We'll post them again. We'll post all of your links as well, Sarah. There's some connections that we need to make with some of the individuals that have posted. online myself. Great show. Yeah, we've been told. So I now, because I can chat, guys. Sarah, Trevor, thank you guys so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to hand back to Cecile just to do a wrap, even though I could do a wrap, but I'm going to hand back to Cecile.
Well, just reiterating really what Dee has said. It's been an absolutely fantastic show, and there are connections there that need to be made for Sarah, for Trevor. There's people will want to get involved. After listening to what both of you have been saying, there's going to be many people who want to connect. Sharon has already said about connecting with Trevor. So yeah, and we can give all those details out. We can give those out. So absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Nike, for being co-host with me today.
I've enjoyed it. The questions are still coming again now.
I know. It's been absolutely brilliant. It is absolutely
brilliant. I'll just
brilliant.
ask this one quickly.
Go on.
Trevor, does the Job Centre or DWP or whatever they call themselves these days get involved?
He's muted.
Funny you ask that. The Job Centre Plus are coming to observe. DWP. Yeah, DWP.
I used to work with them. That's why.
Yeah.
Did you say observe?
Observe.
Yeah.
Observe.
We've got the DWP who are going to be one of the exhibitors. Yes. The Job Centre Plus is coming.
I know we're finishing, but we're in control. What does observe mean?
Exactly.
That's what I like about this show. We keep it real. They are coming on to observe, see what we do, so that they can pinch your idea, huh?
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, guys. We just talk.
It won't last because obviously it's linked to everything that we've already talked about here.
Sharon's going, oh my God.
Yeah.
They're coming to observe, Sharon. They're coming to observe. Anyway, guys, we can chat. As I said, Sarah and Trevor, thank you. Honestly, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm sure at a later stage we will get you guys back. If there's anything else that we can do, you know where we're at. So please, all those that are here, you guys as well, please subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can catch up with all these bits of information.
It's true. They don't want to put their name to it in case it doesn't work, but actually it is going to work. And Trevor needs to keep his name there. You're not giving it to them.
Yeah, exactly.
They're only observing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so guys, we are out of here. If Sarah and Trevor, if you could stay for just one moment, because obviously they're still live on Facebook. We're going to come off there any moment now. And if you just guys can stay for 2 seconds, you'll see top hand left, it will say ended, and then we'll be finished on the broadcast. And we just want to say a personal thank you.
Thank you so much.
Out there.
Thank you for watching, everybody.
Yeah. Give them a wave, guys. Give them a wave. Give them that royal wave.